Yes. Okay. Any questions from your end? Any questions? Comments? Okay, so do you see a blank screen at your end?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right. So some of you had requested that we solve some, meaning I solve some assignment problems for you today. So is that the plan?
Yes, ma'am.
Meaning, unless you have some questions. I think this is this doesn't seem to work. I will have to sort of log out again and log in. Sorry, it will take a minute. I'm back again. Hopefully this time it should work. Sorry for this. This is taking, so I share my screen again. So now the screen is sharing. I open Zernal. All right. So now do you see tutorial 6 at your end on the screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay. So do you have some problems in mind which you would like me to solve, or shall I pick some?
Ma'am,
Yes.
the 1 by 1 plus 1 by n, that second part. How should
Which
we?
assignment, which problem?
Ma'am, 1 second.
Um, open assignment 1, assignment 3.
Ma'am, assignment 2.
Okay, just a minute. Let me pull that out. Assignment 2. Wait a minute. This is 4, 2. Yes, assignment 2. 7 part
1.
Part 1. Okay. So I
The
think this problem, many of you have actually done correctly. Meaning, I don't mind doing it, but so this problem, many of you have done correctly. And I would urge, one of you to share it with everybody else.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah. So meaning I sort of browse through your submissions each time. So I noticed that. So we checked, I think in this assignment, maybe problem 12 was checked, and which one? I don't remember. Which was the other problem which was graded. So how about problem 3? That is sort of a little bit of analysis. Everybody got problem 3? If yes, then I will not do
Yes,
it.
ma'am.
Yes, everybody got problem 3. Very nice. Okay. All right. So in assignment 2, we graded 1 and 2. Okay, so somebody was saying question 9 is what you found difficult. Well, in the sense that this is sort of outside your comfort zone. This is a problem in RK vis-a-vis the real numbers that you are more familiar with. Is this okay? Problem 9?
Ma'am, the last part, if you could show once how to write, like we have written, but still.
Problem 9, part 4, is it? Yeah. Okay.
Yes,
So I'll try to do it, but so do you understand part 1? At least in the way I see this problem. So let me try. Yeah. So let me write down. So shall I write down the problem once again for the benefit of everybody, or does everybody see this? So I'm sharing my assignment 3, and the screen is being shared. So do you see assignment 3 at your end?
yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So we are looking at question number 9 of assignment 3. Let me just read it aloud. Yeah. And then maybe I will a solution to this problem. Okay. So let D naught denote the Euclidean metric on RK. So each point in RK is a tuple, K tuple. Yeah? So for X and Y points in RK, there is a definition. D naught is the Euclidean metric. The distance between X and Y is given. Defining another object E naught, so there is a typo here. Part 1 is that one has to show that a sequence Xn in RK converges to a point of RK with respect to the metric D naught if and only if the convergence happens coordinate wise. Yeah, X and J converges to the corresponding coordinate of X naught, and this happens for each J from 1 to K. Right? You are required to show in part 2 that E naught also defines a metric on the space RK, and part 3 says that a sequence converges in RK with respect to the metric D naught if and only if the sequence converges with respect to the metric E naught. And part 4 is that deduce E subset of RK is open with respect to the metric D naught if and only if it is open with respect to the metric E naught. Yeah. So one way is the following. Yeah, there are, I think, 2 ways to go about it. So let me try to see what can we do. So where am I writing? Sorry. Okay, so this is question 9 of assignment 3. So, for the notation is X and Y points in RK, you are looking at E between X and Y is being defined as summation J equal to 1 to K Xj minus Yj, correct? Yes? Yeah. So I believe everybody can check that this is a metric, right? Is that okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Or you want to write
Yes,
it
ma'am.
down?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So, one way to look at it is following. Yeah. So let's see. And let's recall the definition of the Euclidean metric. D naught of X and Y is by definition given as what? This is Xj minus Yj square, and you take the summation 1 to K and the square root of all of this, right? This is theta. Yeah. So you were worried about the last part, right? That a set is open with respect to the metric E if it's open with respect to the metric E naught, right? Okay, so I sort of let's just do this. So let's assume that this part is done, that RKE is a metric space. Yeah, please let me know if you want me to solve this. Okay, okay. Now let's consider a sequence of points in this in RK, which converges a convergence sequence in the metric space RK with respect to the metric E. Yeah, so sorry, there's no hyphen here. Yeah. So what does it mean? What does it mean? It means that you fix an epsilon. For epsilon positive fixed, there is a positive integer such that the distance with respect to the metric E is less than epsilon some stage onwards, right? This is the meaning of this statement. Okay, so let's unwind this. That is, there exists an N naught such that what is E? Recall that the distance from J equal to 1 to K. So you have X and J minus Xj. And that's it, right? This is less than epsilon beyond the cutoff stage N naught, correct? Yes. Okay. Now, what are we required to show? We are required to show that the sequence Xn converges to X with respect to the metric D, right? Okay. So let's see. Yeah. Now, immediately it follows from above that. So let me note that down. So Xnj minus Xj. So for fixed J, this inequality is true, right? By the definition of the metric, by the metric X. Yeah. So this is true for all indexes n and for all j running from 1 to k. Yeah. So this is, so I'll write that since this is true for all n and each j from 1 to k, what does it follow? It follows that if the sequence xn converges to the metric converges to x in with respect to the metric E, it follows that xnj converges to xj for each j running from 1 to k. Correct? Is that okay? Yeah, so this is, I think, problem part 2 of that question, or part 1 of that question. So let me see. Yeah, so I'm saying that if xn converges to x with respect to metric E, we have been able to show that it happens coordinate wise, right? Okay, all right, and once it happens coordinate wise, then you can show that then d so d naught of xn x is less than epsilon whenever n bigger than n naught. Is that okay? Does everybody follow this step here from here to here? Is that okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay. And likewise the other way around. Is that okay? Can I leave it for you to fix it, or shall I do it just for the sake of completeness? How many of you are here?
Ma'am, it's okay.
It's okay with everybody? Yeah, there are 19 students, but nevertheless. Okay. All right. Yeah, so this is one part of it. Okay. So I will assume that we have proved the following. We have proved the following, which is what? That a sequence converges in Rk with respect to the metric E if and only if the same sequence converges in Rk with respect to the metric D. Yeah. Now the last part is that a subset is open with respect to E if and only if it is open with respect to D. Okay. Okay. So let's see. So let's see. So I think this was part 4 or 5. I don't remember. So let G be a subset of Rk. Right? And let's write what are we required to show? We're required to show G is open with respect to E if and only if G is open with respect to D. Yeah. So let's consider the complement. So I'm going to write F as the complement of G, right? So you remember what am I going to use? I'm going to use the following fact that a set is open if and only if its complement is closed, right? So let me write it right. The complement of G. Yeah. So so this is something that we did in class. Then G is open with respect to the metric E if and only if its complement, which is F, is closed with respect to the metric E. Right? Is that okay? Everybody with me up till this point?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So F is closed with respect to the metric E. By definition of closed sets means that whenever Xn is a sequence in F, and Xn converges to something, is convergent with respect to the metric E. Yeah, so what am I want to say? That Xn is a sequence of points in the set F. Xn is convergent with respect to the metric E, then the limit X belongs to F. Does everybody follow this step? What is that I am using here? I'm using the fact that F is closed with respect to the metric E implies that F contains all of its limit points. Is this okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay, but we just proved that by the above observation that if a sequence converges with respect to the metric E, then it also converges with respect to the metric D, and the two are equivalent. Yeah. So this is saying that this happens if and only if whenever Xn is a sequence of points in F. Is a sequence in F and so Xn is convergent now with respect to the metric D. Well, not D, I've written it as D naught with respect to the Euclidean metric. Then we have that the limit belongs to the set F, right? So what is that I am using here? I'm using the fact, the above, the thing that we just investigated, that a sequence converges with respect to the metric E if and only if it converges with respect to the metric D naught, correct? Now, what is this saying? Again, appealing to the same thing. This is saying that that F is closed with respect to the metric D. Now, saying that F is closed with respect to the metric D is exactly saying that its complement, which is the set G, is open with respect to the metric D. So is this okay? See, this is one way to go about it, using sequences. Or if you like, you can sort of look at the definition of open sets and work with neighborhoods also. So is this solution okay with everybody present here?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, or this is okay. Is this okay with everybody? Or the other way is that you look at the definition of open sets and work with neighborhood. Yeah. When do we say a set is open with respect to the metric D? If it contains a neighborhood of each of its points with respect to the metric D. Yeah, that is another way to go about it. So I believe one solution is okay, and perhaps you would like to do the other one on your own. Is that correct?
Okay.
Yeah. Or you want me to do it? No, please say aloud if you want me to do it.
No, it's okay.
It's okay. All right. Okay. So let's see. So question number 10, I think, is solved in the book. Maybe you can look up there. And others are, I think, 3, 4, and 5 are things I think you are familiar with. So let me look at assignment 4. Assignment 4, many of you were asking me about the problem 10. Is it sorted now?
Ma'am, if you could once do the only if part once.
Okay, so let's
Sorry,
see.
ma'am, if part.
So let's see. Let's see. So question number 10, assignment 4. So the last question that we solved, is that okay? The solution is okay with everybody?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay. So let me just sort of quickly borrow the question here. Yeah. So let's see. So you have to determine true or false, of course, with a justification. And what is the statement? A sequence is bounded if and only if every subsequence so a sequence, let me give it a name, a sequence xn is bounded if every subsequence of xn has a convergent subsequence. So this is subsequence of a subsequence. Okay. This is one way to sort of go about it. So one part you say that you understand that if the sequence xn is bounded, then you say that you apply the Bolzano-Weierstrass theorem. Is that what you want to do? Yeah. So assuming that this is a sequence of real numbers with the Euclidean metric, you say that the sequence xn admits a convergent subsequence. So let's see. So let's say, so let sequence xn be a sequence of real numbers. So if I don't say specify anything, this means this is a sequence of real numbers endowed with the Euclidean metric, and this is bounded by assumption. Then you look at any subsequence of the sequence xn that is again bounded, and you apply the Bolzano-Weierstrass theorem to get hold of a convergent subsequence. Is that correct? That is what you do?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So I'll just say this. Use the Bolzano-Weierstrass theorem. Yeah. Yeah, so this is incomplete argument, right? So the other way is, suppose that you are given that every subsequence of the sequence xn is has a convergent subsequence. Yeah. So suppose that every subsequence of xn admits a convergent subsequence. Yeah. And you try to show that the sequence xn is bounded. Okay. Suppose not. Yeah. So suppose so I'll write that down. We will show that the sequence xn is bounded. Right. Okay. So all of this I'm working in the real line. Okay. So if not, suppose not, if the sequence is not bounded, then the sequence, if not, that means that the sequence xn is unbounded in R. Right? So unbounded in R means there are three possibilities. One, it is not bounded from above, but bounded from below. Second is it is not bounded from below, but bounded from above. And the third is that it is neither bounded from below nor bounded from above. Yeah, these are the three possibilities, right? So I say that, let's look at first case. Yeah, so I will say that without loss of generality. What does this phrase mean? I will explain that. Let us assume that that the sequence xn is not bounded above. Right? Okay. So what does it mean to say without loss of generality? So I am making an assumption here, given that sequence xn is unbounded, I am assuming that the sequence xn is not bounded from above. Without loss of generality means what follows in the sequel doesn't make a difference, if meaning that you can make appropriate changes in the argument and the proof will still hold true if the sequence xn is not bounded above, but let's say bounded below. But not bounded below. Correct. So let me sort of run through the argument and let's see. So if the sequence, so now I'm assuming that the sequence xn is not bounded below, not bounded above. So, this is what we sort of discussed last time, that if you have a sequence of real numbers which is not bounded above, then the sequence itself may not converge to positive infinite, but there is a subsequence of this sequence that converges to positive infinite, right? This was when we discussed convergence in the extended real number system. Yeah. So, so I'll just say some proposition that we discussed in class. It follows from there. It follows that sequence xn admits a subsequence x and k such that x and k converges to positive infinite as k tends to infinite. Yeah. So here is a subsequence of the given sequence xn, which has no convergence subsequence in the real line, isn't it? Evidently, sequence x and k has no convergence subsequence. Because every subsequence of the subsequence x and k would also converge to positive infinite. Yeah, when I say that the sequence x and k has no convergence sequence, so it has no convergence sequence in the real line with the Euclidean metric. Correct? That is what we are looking at in this question, right? But this is contrary to our assumption. Our assumption said that every subsequence of the sequence xn admits a convergence subsequence. So we arrive at a contradiction. Is this okay? So what does it mean to say if we arrive at the contradiction? That means that our supposition is not correct and sequence xn must be bounded in R. Is that okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So the upshot of all of this discussion is that this statement is true if you look at the real line with the Euclidean metric. Yeah. So if you're interested, you can try what happens to this statement in a metric space, but I'll be happy if you understand this bit in the real line. So is this okay? This solution of question 10, assignment 4?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay. All right. How many of you are there? 20 of you in this meeting. Okay. So anything else from assignment 4? Problem number 8. Does everybody, I'm sort of deliberately not looking at 2 and 3 because I think you can sort of work it down. Even problem 4. Similar to 5, we did something in class. Yeah, 7 also. Problem 8. So if you feel confident, then I will not do it.
Ma'am?
Yes, please.
Ma'am, I have a question. Ma'am,
Yes.
ma'am, if a subset of a monotonically, I mean, if a subsequence of a monotone sequence converges, then can we say that the subsequence is also convergent?
Just a minute. Let me write down what you're saying so that I could get it. Yeah. So tell me your question again. So so you are in the real line with the Euclidean metric, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. And you're given a sequence of real number, right? I'm calling it xn, right? Now, what do you want to say? Xn is monotonically increasing?
That is monotone, increasing or decreasing something.
So, okay, so suppose that the sequence xn is monotone. Yeah, so I'll say, let's fix this. Suppose that this is monotonically increasing.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, then what do you want to say?
Ma'am, if a subsequence of this sequence converges, then can we say that this sequence will also converge?
Okay, let x and k be a subsequence of the sequence xn. Okay, and this is convergent, right? So suppose x and k converges to some point x naught in R. Does that imply that the sequence xn converges itself, right? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So let me look at it. Anybody else would like to make some suggestions on this problem?
Ma'am, if every subsequence will be convergent to x naught, then it will be true, I think.
See, but that is not given to us. We are given, there is some subsequence which is convergent. We are not given that every subsequence of xn is convergent. Correct? Those are two different things.
Ma'am, if xn is monotonically increasing, we are not said that anywhere that xn is bounded above.
Correct.
So we can say from the proposition that we have a sequence that is converging to positive infinity.
That is, yeah. So there are two cases to be investigated. If xn is bounded above, then certainly xn is convergent, right? Now you are looking at the second case. Suppose that xn is not bounded above, right? Correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. So you are Kritika, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So let me write down. I don't know if you spell your name like this. Kritika's approach. Yeah. So if we are just deliberating this question, is bounded above. Then certainly the sequence xn is convergent, right? Now let's look at the case that the sequence xn is not bounded above, right? So then there exists a subsequence xnl of the sequence xn such that sequence xnl converges to positive infinite as L tends to infinite, correct? So what Kritika is saying that the sequence xn cannot converge in this case, because if it did converge, then every subsequence of sequence xn would converge to that number, correct? Is that what you want to say, Kritika?
Yes, ma'am.
Huh? Is that okay? Does that solve your question? Yeah, maybe I'll display the solution. Yes, is that okay?
Yes,
anything else?
Ma'am?
No, ma'am.
Yes, please.
Ma'am, the second part, we can say it from the monotone convergence theorem itself, that it won't converge.
Yes. So how do you approach that?
Ma'am,
So
since we are...
Raika seems to suggest something else. So you're Raika, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I have started to sort of recognize you by your voices. Okay, go ahead, Raika. Yeah.
So, ma'am,
Yeah.
we are assuming that it is not bounded above.
Correct.
So, by the monotone convergence theorem, a monotone sequence of real numbers is convergent if and only if it is bounded.
Correct. And even otherwise, if the sequence is not bounded above, in particular the sequence xn is not bounded, it cannot be convergent.
Yes,
because every convergence sequence is bounded. Yeah, you don't even have to go there to monotone convergence theorem. It's much more basic, right? Yeah, so I'll write it down. If the sequence xn is not bounded above, say the sequence xn is not bounded above, then evidently the sequence xn is not bounded, right? And hence It cannot converge because every convergent sequence is necessarily bounded. Correct? Is that what you wanted to show, Raika?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Yes. Okay. Excellent. Yeah. Anything else?
And ma'am?
Yes, please.
Ma'am, you solved number 10 in assignment 4. But ma'am, at that point, I didn't know that proposition, that a
Correct.
subsequence.
So you can do that without that also. That is something I would like you to explore. Please do that.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah, please try that. You know, we can sort of take up this question one more time, and I don't mind it, but please try. Yeah.
Okay.
Now that you have seen one solution, please try. Okay. So I was asking you about question 8. You know, that is sort of a little bit of analysis where you are required to write down things properly. Does everybody, I mean, is everybody present here confident about writing down question number 8 of assignment 4? Okay, so I think that means a yes. All right. Okay, so tell me if you have any other questions to sort of ask, or suggestions to make in comments.
Ma'am, for the assignment 5, the
Okay.
first set of...
Let me open that.
Okay.
Assignment 5. Yes, please. Yes.
Ma'am, for the first like one subparts, means like for writing any of it, like should we list some of the elements and say that E can contain this number of elements, means in certain sets, like in certain cases we are able to make out intuitively that the values will lie in the range, means how do we write it, means can you show any other example, means out of the
So
assignment?
Kritika, to answer your question, one that I'm going to take up problems, examples based on lim_sup and lim_inf today afternoon. We have not done any as yet, yeah, except for one very simple case of -1 to the power n, right? And number 2, look at question number 2. We are going to discuss this another definition of the limit superior and limit inferior today in the class. Sometimes it is very useful to look at these are two equivalent definitions. Yeah. So sometimes it is useful to look at the definition that we talked last time. You look at limits of all subsequence and limits of this, the set of limits of all convergent subsequence of a given sequence in the extended real number system. And sometimes it is useful to look at the way the limit superior and limit inferior are defined as in question 2 here, right? So for example, I would suggest that in part 3, one part 3 and one part 4, it might be easier to apply definition as given in question number 2 here. Okay. Yeah. So we will do that. We will do that today afternoon. I'm going to solve some problems. Yeah.
Okay.
If your questions still persist, then we will surely take it up. But this is what we are going to do this afternoon, because we have not actually seen any examples of actually computing limit superior or limit inferior so far.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, comments, some suggestions.
Ma'am, will the quiz be held over Moodle?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay.
So here is another thing that I wanted to request all of you. So the quiz will be held over Moodle. So what is that I said? Coming Monday at 2 p.m. Please be ready with your one laptops, and if you have been using a smartphone, and keep some rough sheets handy. As we discussed here in the sort of some sample problems, sometimes in order to make up your mind, you want to write down something in the rough sheet and then make the final answer in what you want to scan and send it to us, right? So keep some rough sheets handy, and so ideally it should not take more than 1 hour to solve those quiz problems. But there might be, I understand, network disruptions and power failure at your end. So I'll give you maybe 4 or 5 hours. I haven't thought about it, but a reasonable amount of time. So what I would request you is, one, as soon as you sort of get the question paper, which will be made available at 2 on coming Monday, please download it. Yeah, download a copy and save it on your device, so that just in case you lose internet, then at least you have the question paper to work on, right? And I would trust you that you would not appeal to sort of any unfair, dishonest mean. So this is all in good faith, yeah. And I may conduct a viva based on this little later. So it is in your interest that you try these problems independently without using any unfair means, yeah. So that was one. And I was also thinking of revising this sort of the grading policy for this course. For example, in the beginning, so I will sort of let you know more on that. In the beginning, we had given a small weightage to attendance. I am thinking of let it go. Then there was no mid-sem plan. So let's see. I will see how the quiz goes, and then maybe if this goes well, then maybe we will have a mid-sem for this course, right? So it will be better if you also write a mid-sem, in the sense that you will have sort of multiple opportunities, right? Having just one end semester examination and nothing else would be like putting all the eggs in one basket. You should got sort of multiple opportunities to do in this course, is what I feel. But I will sort of take a call on this once the quiz is over. Yeah, is that okay?
For the
Yes.
quiz, like if
Yes.
everyone's okay, I don't know. Means could you give it a bit earlier, because we again have class from 5:30 on Monday, so we won't get the entire time.
Okay, meaning I can give you a bit earlier, but my point was to open the portal at 2 was that I will not teach 2 to 3:30, and you will get that 1.5 hour to work on the quiz. And to my mind, you should not take more than 1 hour.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah, that was my only point. But if you want, you sort of all of you decide and let me know. I am open to opening the forum beforehand also, but see, my only objective was that if you open it at 2 to 3:30, I believe that all of you have no other engagements besides this course, so you are all available and you can all finish it up. And we have been sort of conducting live interactions, barring one session. It seems to be going through without much hassles from both the ends. But I am open, and if that is what you prefer, then that is also all right. But just let me know. All of you, please decide and let me know.
Okay,
ma'am. Okay. Anyways, any other questions besides the mode of quiz? I'm sort of asking questions in the contents, the material that we have been sort of discussing. So if there are no further questions, then maybe we will just close this meeting for now and meet in the afternoon. Yeah. I'll stop the recording.